Shadows beneath the lake. The small town of Ravenwood was known for its serene lake, which glistened under the moonlight like a silver mirror, but the locals warned visitors against staying near it after sunset. Legend spoke of the shadows beneath, spirits said to drag the unwary into the icy depths. Most dismissed the tales as old wives' stories, but when Lena arrived at Ravenwood for a weekend getaway, she was intrigued by the eerie rumors. Lena, a freelance photographer, decided the lake would be the perfect subject for her portfolio. As dusk settled, she set up her camera on the lake's shore, capturing the crimson hues of the setting sun. The air grew colder, and an unnatural stillness settled over the water. Even the crickets, which had been chirping earlier, fell silent. She reviewed her shots, smiling at the vibrant colors she had captured. But when she glanced at the last photo, her smile vanished. In the image, a dark figure was emerging from the water, its elongated limbs stretching toward the shore. Lena spun around, her heart pounding, but the lake's surface was undisturbed. "Must be a glitch," she muttered, trying to convince herself. Determined not to let her nerves ruin the evening, she focused on the viewfinder again. The world through the lens felt detached and safe, as if the camera separated her from the unsettling atmosphere. But then she saw it, a ripple in the still water, followed by another. Something was moving beneath the surface. A chill ran down her spine as she noticed faint whispers carried by the breeze. At first, they were too soft to understand, but gradually they grew louder. "Come, closer!" Her breath caught. She looked around, hoping to spot someone playing a cruel prank, but she was alone. The whispers turned into distorted voices, layering over one another. They spoke in a language she didn't recognize, their tones laced with malice. Her instincts screamed at her to leave, but her curiosity anchored her in place. She aimed her camera at the lake again. This time, her hand trembled as she took another shot. Reviewing the photo, her stomach dropped. The shadowy figure was closer now, its hollow eyes staring directly at her. Suddenly, a wet, slithering sound broke the silence. Lena's eyes darted to the shoreline, where something dark and slimy was crawling out of the water. Its form was grotesque, a tangle of sinewy limbs and a face that seemed to shift and blur like smoke. The stench of decay filled the air. Panic surged through her as the creature dragged itself closer. Lena grabbed her camera and bolted toward her car, parked a few hundred feet away. The voices grew louder, now screaming in anger. Behind her, she could hear the wet thud of the creature's movements. Reaching her car, she fumbled with the keys, her hands shaking uncontrollably. She could feel its presence, the oppressive cold seeping into her skin. Finally, the door unlocked, and she threw herself inside, slamming the door shut. She turned the key in the ignition. The engine sputtered but didn't start. Tears streamed down her face as she tried again. This time, the car roared to life, and she sped away, not daring to look in the rearview mirror. When she reached the safety of her cabin, she locked the doors and drew the curtains. Her heart still raced as she tried to process what had happened. Opening her camera, she deleted the photos, hoping to erase the nightmare from her mind. But when she closed her eyes that night, she saw the figure's hollow gaze. The next morning, Lena decided to leave Ravenwood. As she packed, she noticed her camera sitting on the bedside table. It was off, but the lens cap was removed. Her blood ran cold as she picked it up. The screen displayed a photo she hadn't taken. It showed her sleeping in the cabin, and standing at the foot of her bed was the shadowy figure, its hollow eyes fixed on her. Lena never left Ravenwood. The locals say the lake claimed her, just as it had many others before. And on quiet nights, if you stand by the water's edge, you might hear whispers inviting you closer. If you're brave enough to look, you might even see Lena, her shadow forever lurking beneath the surface.